Greetings! I don't have regular content ready this week, partly because I took time to do a live hangout with Johnny Drive-By and Deconverted Man, and partly because I came out as an atheist on Openly Secular Day, which left me responding to a flood of messages from closeted questioners and unbelievers from my past. I'll be telling you more about that experience in a video that I hope to have ready for next week, but for now, I thought I'd read a Christian love poem for you. I'll give a bit of analysis at the end, but if you have your own thoughts, feel free to offer them in the comments section. So this one is called Divine Voyeur. Okay. But that is what I hear when I am told she's coming, and God is in it too. I hope it's true, that lust live out in white will then be mine. But on that hallowed night, let's not bring up the fact that he'll be there. We are fluctuating, emanating heat, impassioned sweat, and fragrant moist release of unloved tension, indulgent fever pitch, and soul egalitarianism. Odd to think he must be in this moment. Ooh. Though we shouldn't be embarrassed, shouldn't mind. I mind. To think he's kind of like my dad. Not some sex-crazed, nymph-like deity more fitting found in paganistic rite. My father hoists me up in muscled arms. I wait with bated breath as through a sea of stars and ever-spreading blue he moves me, away from perverse frictions and on toward a different sort of life, a night where she, who is faceless yet, lies nude and shadowed by his pearl-light moon. My desire suits this. He sets me down beside this flesh-robed soul whom he has also placed, and makes us whole. Now first off, I'm pretty sure, ew. And second, on this first line, what is what you hear when you are told? Maybe the words divine voyeur? I guess that kind of ties it together. Also, I really like that the second line has two that's what she says in it, but the second one is way too disturbing for my taste. I mean, seriously, how do you write a Christian sex poem and not consider what God is in it too is going to sound like to your audience? I can appreciate how that lust live out in white will then be mine so concisely captures Christians' obsession both with the purity of sex and their crude, almost Bond villain eagerness to get married and finally get some. But then the line after just jarringly breaks from the lofty language of the rest of the poem and gives us, let's not bring up the fact that he'll be there, which interestingly enough is actually written in iambic pentameter, a rhythm the poet is obviously familiar enough with to use when he gets the motivation. Then we have some steamy romance novel imagery followed by a line made up entirely of the words and soul egalitarianism, which is actually a well-known poetic convention known within literary circles as pretentious bullshit. The poet goes on to compare God to his dad, careful to clarify that God isn't there during sex because of the sex. Then God picks him up, with explicitly described muscled arms, which, ew, and carries him across some elevated descriptive imagery, when on line 18 it suddenly becomes unclear whether the woman who was having an ambiguous threesome with the author and God was the author's wife or every woman he fornicated with before God rescued him and carried him away to purity. And apparently, once we get to it, purity is a faceless woman who's shadowed by God's bare butt? I'm not totally sure. And then they get to f*** each other's brains out because God approves and they're married. The end. That's how I read this poem anyway. If any of you have thoughts or interpretations of your own, please feel free to add them to the comment section below.